Thank God. Party. You're not getting much fun there. But here we can make more money. Come on. Be here in town. Congratulations. When do you go? I appreciate your calling down for us. Going back up. The next Thursday. So what's your last name on paper? Are you gonna draw back on the board? Oh, well, if they ever get that construction taken care of, it wouldn't be that bad a drive. That is so true. Yes, had a great time. Hot. But we had a good time. So there's 7. It's just like, you might go up Lonnie, just chugging up Lonnie wheel. On the other day, we're just gonna run away down there. Hey, Dave, I'm fine. How are you? I was pretty cautious. I kept a lot of sunscreen on. There was one day when I overdid it a bit. Yeah, but it was nice. We had a good time. Very relaxing. I did. Yes, I did. So I think we all said for you. Seven of us in a 2-bedroom condo. Yeah. If I had enough money, even married a chaperone, you know. We went over to Universal. Yeah. It was good.
I went down to the concert.
Oh,
Had a good time.
we had a nice 15-20 minute conversation with Mr. Keeling over the phone. No, I don't see it. Yeah, but he just told me it wasn't a. Actually, Chris and I have to.
This is a special called meeting of the Elizabethtown City Council. Our invocation, I'm sorry.
That's way.
Sorry. Mr. Schiff, would you like to lead our invocation?
Certainly. Thank you. Pray with me, please. Well, Father, we're happy to be here, and what a wonderful day you've provided for us today, and we're so grateful for that. We're so grateful to be here at City Council tonight, and we pray that you'll be with us as we conduct this meeting tonight. Father, we don't have to drive down the road very far to see how blessed we are in Elizabethtown, and we have an abundance of resources and talent, and just wonderful things are happening to our city, and we thank you so much for all those blessings. But Father, we still need some help. We've got a lot of kids that still go home hungry. We've got mothers and dads that are still looking for jobs, and our courts are busy and our jails are overcrowded, so we'll ask that you continue to help us and help us do things here in government that can create opportunity and to create a better life for all these individuals, and help us individually to do what we can to look for ways that we can do things that are more Christ-like and to do things that are more pleasing, and to help these individuals that are still doing less than their best and need a helping hand. So we just ask that you be with us and bless us in all that we do. These things we pray in your loving name. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What a night. night.
We're struggling to get started here.
Four innings.
Business in our special meeting to appoint Steve Fulkerson to the Elizabethtown Tourism and Convention Bureau. Will be filling in the unexpired term of Chris Flanagan. The term will expire on March 15, 2016.
Mayor, may I publicly say that I have gone back to my great-grandfathers, and Steve Fulkerson is not kin to me, so I'll save Councilman Bennett some time and some money on Ancestry.com. Look it up. We are not kin as far as we can tell.
Darn, I want that full investigation.
Trying to save you some money.
Okay, we will have the second reading of ordinance number 14, 2014, approving asset purchase agreement with Hardin County Water District number 2. Motion to read the ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Okay. And in summary, this is a second reading. This is ordinance number 14, 2014. It says the City of Elizabethtown passed ordinance number 14, 2014 on the 28th day of July, 2014. It was read for the first time on the 21st day of July, 2014. The purpose of this ordinance is to A, to authorize the transfer of the city's water system to Hardin County Water District number 2. B, to approve the proposed asset purchase agreement, and C, to authorize the mayor to execute the asset purchase agreement. A complete copy of this ordinance can be viewed on the city's website at www.elizabethtowny.org or by contacting the city clerk's office.
Thank you. Motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion.
Second?
And this is a roll call vote, starting with Councilmember Tony Bishop.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes. Yes.
Municipal Order Number 42, 2014, accepting the bid from Skylar Construction for the pool demolition project in the amount of $68,600. Motion to read the ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the date set out below, a motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Be it ordered by the Elizabethtown City Council to accept the bid from Skylar Construction for the pool demolition project in the amount of $68,600. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and/or her designate be and she is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order. Read, adopted, and approved this the 28th day of July, 2014.
Motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, welcome to the Elizabethtown City Council work session, July the 28th. And Mary, will you see if they're ready? We have a treat, Central Hardin High School agriculture issues team is here. Just want to make sure they're prepared.
Rebecca, you know that sometimes doesn't work, so we'll see if you've got the magic touch.
Oh no,
Is it okay?
thank you for that. Now I'm even more nervous.
Oh, don't be.
Scott has the magic touch.
Yeah.
There.
Oh,
Why not?
You all are all with the Central Hardin Agriculture Club, or the FFA.
yes.
Okay, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Of course. I'm Catherine Goodman. I'm Madeline Boyd. I'm Jordan Elmore. I'm Hannah Sharp. I'm Erin Masterson.
And I'm Rebecca Mackey.
It's nice to have
you. I got it set up. But, this is an agriculture issues competition. Basically what that is, the team selected an issue back last November. They researched the issue. Their job is to present both sides of the argument without ever taking a definite stance on it from a personal perspective during the presentation. They presented this at state contest in June. They won the state, they won the state competition, so we're headed to national convention in October. And so we do have one person filling in because Leslie Langley is on vacation. So Jordan Elmore's filling in, and she's going to be reading from a script because she's here to stand in for Leslie tonight. This afternoon. While they are going through the presentation, if you would, if you have any questions, jot those down. Questions that, especially at national convention, that's going to be representatives of the listeners at national convention. Other than that, if you don't have any more questions, then.
We've all heard the time-old adage, which came first, the chicken
Or the egg.
Though we're all familiar with the question, the intriguing thing is that there is no clear-cut answer. Your personal perspective and scientific belief shape whether you feel the feathery animal or the classified shell came first.
Now let's try a riddle you won't be so familiar with. What do a banjo, flying pigs, a lighter, a plastic bottle, and the almighty dollar have in common?
Good morning. We are the Central Hardin Agriculture Issues team consisting of
Catherine, Madeline, Rebecca,
Jordan, Hannah, Erin. With our presentation, the Bluegrass Pipeline, Economic Gain or Epic Strain.
One of the main topics today in local and national news is the Bluegrass Pipeline that will transport natural gas liquids from the Utica and Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania to petrochemical markets located within the southeastern United States. At the forefront of this project are two companies, Williams Company and Boardwalk Pipeline Partners, or Williams and Boardwalk. Over half the 1,100-mile structure will simply be converted into the Bluegrass Pipeline. New additions of this pipeline are being added in Kentucky, with the main additions ending in Hardinsburg, where the pipeline will there connect a Texas gas transmission and continue on to Eunice, Louisiana.
New sections are being added, Rebecca. However, the geographical layout of Kentucky is quite unique. Because of our land is full of sinkholes, caves, limestone, and porous rock, one small leak would cause toxic liquid to spread quickly into water sources for the area. It is also important to note that the natural gas liquid, or NGLs, are not natural gases. The natural gas was already removed by the hydraulic fracturing or fracking sites. NGLs are the byproducts of several toxic and potentially explosive gases, compressed under great pressure to be liquid. Examples include methane, propane, butane, octane, and pentane. The pipeline is not to supply NGLs to Kentucky, but to transport them to Louisiana to be refined.
The route moving these NGLs will most likely begin in Bracken County, head southwest, and end in Breckinridge County. The pipeline will be 24 inches in diameter, 4 feet below the surface, and carry 400,000 barrels per day of NGLs to Louisiana at maximum capacity. The pipeline will include many stream crossings, including the Kentucky and Ohio rivers. The company is currently working with landowners to sign contracts for permanent easements and getting some landowners to give up their land permanently. The pipeline was originally supposed to begin and be operational by this fall, but it has been postponed to late 2016.
NGLs do require a pathway where they can be taken and separated into constitutes, but will the planned route be beneficial or detrimental to Kentuckians? Obvious threats from this pipeline are health and mortality risk from leaks and explosions, safety hazards from pipeline inspection gauges or pigs, and subsurface liquids contaminating groundwater. The public is also genuinely concerned about the use of eminent domain if their land is not voluntarily given by the use of the pipeline.
Meetings have been held in Kentucky to further educate citizens about the pipeline. The following counties met during late 2014 to discuss the pipeline: Pendleton, Woodford, Anderson, Hardin, Nelson, and Breckinridge counties. We now invite you to a mock town meeting in Hardin County. Please welcome to the assembly Elizabethtown Mayor Edna Berger,
Bluegrass
Pipeline Representative Lucy Webster, farm owner Kate Manning, and unemployed citizen Lisa Austin, who will further debate the various factors regarding this pipeline issue.
Good afternoon. I am Mayor Berger, and I thank you all for being here today to discuss the Bluegrass Pipeline that will be coming through our community. I am pleased to introduce to you Lucy Webster, a representative of the Bluegrass Pipeline. She will be giving us helpful information and answering any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I'm excited to explain the tremendous benefits you and your community will receive from the installation of this pipeline. From the creation of jobs, inflations to the local and national economies, reduction on foreign energy dependence, personal compensation landowners are eligible to receive.
Let me stop you right there, Mrs. Webster. Pipeline representatives have already visited our farm and offered my family an easement compensation package. While this one-time payment would have been nice to put in our pockets, our loans and taxes would still have to be paid, and we would no longer be able to build or dig within 50 feet of either side of the pipeline. On top of that, our insurance will vastly increase, causing our property value to decrease tremendously. My husband and I will not be signing any contract.
I'm so sorry to hear that your family will not be forming a partnership with our company, Mrs.
Manning.
Mrs. Manning. It's always our hope that we can agree upon a deal that is fair for both parties. We obtain a permanent easement while you retain ownership of the land with few stipulations for its use after installation. You'll not be able to build or dig within 50 feet of the pipeline location, but you can still raise your crops and livestock right on top of the pipeline. The laying of this pipeline will result in a long-lasting working relationship between our company and your family that needs to be positive moving forward.
I'm sure you've established many good relationships with the use of eminent domain, right? For those of you who don't know, the government has the right to expropriate private property for public use with payment of compensation. If you do not accept this payment, the government still has the right to seize your land. The Fifth Amendment to the Constitution says, "Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." The private developers are building this pipeline for commercial, not public use. This is morally wrong, and we won't give up without a fight.
It's not our desire to fight you, Mrs. Manning, nor to anger residents and gain property. Our company has met with other families who, like you, were not interested in having the pipeline run through their land, and our team simply modified the path to bypass the land in question. We have not attempted to utilize eminent domain in this or any other project Williams Company and Boardwalk Pipeline Partners have completed in the past. However, we have secured easements in 9 of the 13 counties we plan to cross in the state of Kentucky and expect to pay between $30 and $50 million in easements requested as plans resume.
I would ask you all to consider how the Bluegrass Pipeline will help boost our economy, not only statewide, but right here in our city of Elizabethtown. Are you aware that there is a 9.6% unemployment rate in the state of Kentucky and a 7.3% unemployment rate in Hardin County? The Bluegrass Pipeline will help boost our economy.
Oh yes, Mayor, I know the employment status all too well. I'm a single mother of 3 children, but I did some research on the Bluegrass Pipeline. The Bluegrass Pipeline is seeking employees who are temporary. So once the job is finished, workers will be unemployed again, and there is no guarantee that local citizens will secure these positions. According to the Bluegrass Pipeline website, 1,500 people will receive temporary jobs, but only 30 will receive permanent jobs.
Mrs. Austin, our project will create 6,000 to 7,000 construction jobs for the entire project and approximately 1,500 construction jobs in the state of Kentucky. We have, in addition to the construction industry, other industries will be positively benefited as well. For example, butane is used in lighters, propane in backyard grills and home heating systems, and ethane is utilized in the production of plastics. Therefore, any job in the United States that manufactures these items will be positively benefited, and this is just to name a few.
Kentucky, and specifically Hardin County, will receive indirect economic benefits as construction personnel and full-time pipeline personnel, so money on supplies, food, and lodging. Our county is also projected to receive $1.7 million in taxes over the multiple decades of life of the pipeline. The pipeline will help.
With all due respect, Mayor, is the money worth the risk of ruining our community? Our state is even higher risk of a leak because of our state's layout. The benefits of Kentucky are minimal, and the safety risks are enormous with the massive pressure, massive volume, toxic liquids. Pipeline will cross the Ohio River near the intake for Louisville's water supply. Does this sound like a great idea when we all know pipelines eventually leak?
That statement is not necessarily true. Clyde Childress is the manager at Texas Gas Company in Hardinsburg, Kentucky. He's worked here for 32 years and has removed pipeline installed in the 1940s and said the inside of the pipeline looked brand new. The majority of pipeline failures are as a result of third parties causing damage, not because of defaults within the pipeline itself.
But according to the Kentucky Resource Council, 1.6 gas line leaks and ruptures occur daily in the United States. Because Kentucky lies on a fault line, we are especially at risk for these leaks. They can go undetected and contaminate groundwater sources with no possibility of decontamination for public or agriculture use.
Mrs. Manning, please let me put your fears to rest. The risk of a pipeline leak is minuscule, and there are many warning signs, such as a dead or discolored vegetation, a rotten egg odor, dirt or dust blowing from a hole in the ground, or a hissing sound. And regarding your concern on the fault line, the last recorded earthquake in the state of Kentucky that registered over a 5.0 was in 1812. Our priorities are to protect the people, property, and the environment, in that order. You are our number one concern. Just remember this number, 811, and call before you dig. This will help eliminate those third-party problems I alluded to earlier.
What about the people who don't know about this number? Georgia County Commissioner Paul McCorkle struck an 8-inch propane pipeline which ignited and killed his son, who was standing over 150 yards away. As far as the risk of an accident being minuscule, several counties have experienced them. Fleming County, Clark County, Bath County, Metcalfe County, and the most recent one that took place in Adair County on February 13, 2014 at 2:30 a.m. The entire town was evacuated, leaving 2 injured and a 60-foot crater. Further information has not been released due to the fact that witnesses were required to sign a confidentiality contract. These accidents revealed the devastating power of pipelines.
That's right, Ms. Manning. And there are also safety risks associated with cleaning, inspecting, and maintenance of these pipelines. Pipeline inspection gauges, or pigs, are pushed to the pipeline using a high-pressure gas or liquid that picks up and hydrates wax and other foreign objects that are removed to decontaminate the pipeline. If the barrel isn't completely depressurized before the gauges are removed, they can be unsafely ejected, causing dangers. Flying pigs that are capable of shooting 500 feet away or more.
Accidents for any project are inevitable, but in Kentucky there have been few and far between. We must keep in mind that the installation of the pipeline will help reduce our dependence of foreign energy. Because the Marcellus and Utica Shale has the potential of securing 1 million barrels per day of natural gas, it is estimated that the U.S. could be the #1 exporter of energy products by 2020. Extracting these liquids and making them available is an enormous asset to our county, state, and country.
In the United States, there are various pipelines present. In the state of Kentucky, there are already over 12,555 miles of pipeline. The Bluegrass Pipeline is simply an addition to a pre-existing structure that will benefit citizens worldwide. We have also established a community grant program from which organizations in the state of Kentucky have received a total of over $2,700 to directly benefit projects that will fund in Hardin County. The Hardin County Board of Education, Elizabethtown's Hooray for Heroes, Elizabethtown's Feeding America, and the Hardin County Kentucky and Government Emergency Management Associations are just a few local examples that have directly benefited from our program. We are committed to being a strong member of the communities where we operate and look forward to providing continued support in the future.
As you consider the factors of the pipeline, it may help to know the perspectives of local government officials. Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear says that he hasn't made his final decision regarding his view of the pipeline, but he is definitely watching the issue. West Virginia Governor Earl Ray Tomblin says that he sees this pipeline as an incredible opportunity for their state. And Kentucky Commissioner of Agriculture James Comer says that he is for the Bluegrass Pipeline, but against eminent domain. I want to thank each one of you for being here today, and I look forward to our combined efforts in making the Bluegrass Pipeline venture a successful one for all involved.
As you can see, there are numerous controversial aspects surrounding the issue of the Bluegrass Pipeline. Many Kentuckians are still extremely uncertain about the project because of the real chance of contaminating our water supply, minimizing use of farmland, endangering the safety of our communities, and jeopardizing climate, health, and future generations. Kentuckians do want the energy industry to transition to renewable energy source safely, but are infrastructures like the pipeline the answer?
That question continues to be debated throughout the state of Kentucky. While the factors Jordan just mentioned must be thoroughly considered and closely managed, the benefits of this pipeline are enormous. Tax revenues, jobs for Kentuckians, and innovation that will last for generations to come. Even though the pipeline project is currently on hold, the Bluegrass Pipeline and Kentuckians will still need to work together to make sure that renewable energy resources are maximized right here within our beautiful United States.
So what really did come first, the chicken or the egg? Just like your personal perspective shapes your opinion of this answer, so does your individual perception of the Bluegrass Pipeline mold your outlook of this issue.
Is there a way for that treasured banjo of Kentucky to unite the flame with $1 in a way that will benefit all those who are involved?
Or will the result finally always be
Smoke and ashes.
This is supposed to be on fire, but we forgot.
We will now entertain any questions you all may have.
Yeah, ladies, I have a question. Did you look at the statistics of train derailment and truck crashes carrying those liquid gases compared to pipeline leaks? And by the way, I had my students do the same debate in chemistry. So I'm sort of putting you on the spot.
We did look at that, and it is more safer to transport it through a pipeline than it would be on rail cars or in trucks. Also, it is much faster to do it in the pipeline.
Did you get the statistics on especially like Elizabethtown, this area, how many of those trucks and trains come through this area per day carrying those gases?
No, we did not, but we have researched about the Manhattan Institute, I think it is. They did a study on the safety between carrying it through a semi-trailer and a train compared to under the ground, seen and not heard kind of a thing. And they said that with how many barrels of the natural gas liquids that they would have to transport in a semi, that would add over, I think, 60,000 semis and trains already on our very busy highway system in America. I don't know the specific statistics for you, though, and I'm very sorry about that.
That's okay. I was putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Well, one more question. As far as the eminent domain, has the company brought up a situation where instead of using eminent domain and easement rights, actually just paying a lease to the owners? In other words, you know, every month they get a check from the company, and they continue to do that while the pipeline is on their property instead of using eminent domain, because that would actually bring up the value of the property instead of devaluing. So did you do any research on that? Leasing.
The Bluegrass Pipeline, the actual project that this is, they're only doing the one-time payment, and you get that one payment once in your lifetime, and that just counts for however long it's on the land.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, you all obviously have done a lot of research, but do you have individual feelings about Bluegrass Pipeline, and did that play a role in which side that you took? I'm just curious.
Each of us are all very different people, and we do have our own perspectives on these issues. But as a team, we are not allowed to come up with a distinct side. The purpose of this project or this competition is to explain both parties equally and be able to let you all decide what you all believe.
Do you get angry with her when you're debating?
Well, whenever we're actually doing the act, we are, but if we're just debating about it, not really.
Wish we could act about that.
It all comes into the players.
I think
You guys glad
did
you're in the water business versus the gas business?
Yes.
Matt, did you learn anything?
I think you all did a great
Good
job.
job. Yes, good job.
We wish you all well in the competition.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll be competing at the end of October in Louisville.
Great,
At
well,
the
let us
national
know.
Oh, we
That's
will.
and that's at the national.
That's the national level. We won the state competition in Lexington at the beginning of
And
June.
Louisville just happens to be where the nationals are.
Lucky
Couldn't be
enough.
Miami or any place
I
like that.
know. It used to be in Indianapolis. That was a little bit fun.
Fantastic.
So this will be at the state, the national
Yes.
convention.
This
That's
is as
great.
far as it can go.
Good
Wonderful.
luck.
Things
Great.
I
Good
will
job.
think about them. I know there was a couple hiccups that, you know, someone's, like we worked with this contest in November, so when they won in June, they wanted the summer off. And so this is the first time we've made this presentation since they won. So that's why it was kind of
It's good practice.
yeah. So
Very
it'll be a
good.
lot better than that. And that's
They were great.
Very good. Yeah.
Mayor Berger, would you mind if we took our pictures to that side?
Oh, my gosh, I'd be honored.
Excellent. Thank you
And
so
make
much.
sure you all let us know how you did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We look forward to welcoming you back with the championship trophy.
Oh, no, I don't think so. You're selling pretty
I'll be
well.
right back.
At ease, man.
Don't you all get into an argument while I'm gone.
We're just going to play act.
Water District's brought us some water.
Thank you all again.
Okay.
Ron, you want to do?
Ron, you want to do anything?
Want to do anything?
Yeah.
Any motions you want to make, or? Your guess is good as anybody.
I think Charlie's a little nervous right now.
No, I would imagine the mayor's one that's real nervous right now, leaving us in here.
No, I mean,
Wonder if everybody in the state competition does the Bluegrass Pipeline. Is that the?
No, I think they choose.
Oh, they
choose
do?
their own
Okay.
issues.
So everybody will have individual.
Sorry, thank you all.
Well, we took care of that while you were gone. You won't like it, but we did.
Next on the agenda, Mr. Craig Catlett from Meadow Lane.
Hi, Mayor, council members, onlookers. Is it on, or do you don't even need it, don't you? You can hear me fine?
Sure. Yeah.
Great. I'm Craig Catlett. I teach at the college, and I teach at Somerset Community College and Eastern Kentucky University, and I moved here 8 years ago to my little stretch on Meadow Lane 8 years ago last month. Firstly, thank you for paving my street 8 years ago when I moved there, so the city approved to pave that, and that was great. But because our street is so great now, people are deciding to use my street an awful lot. I have a persistent problem on Meadow Lane of excessive speeding. I would say probably in excess of 15 miles an hour over the limit. Those are my observations and also my neighbors' observations. In the past, the city's recognized that the excessive speeding on Meadow Lane is a problem. There have been police cars posted on the road over the past 8 years just to remind people that there is a speed limit, and also those little radar boxes that show people, hey, you're going too fast. I appreciate those efforts, but a problem remains, and that's why I'm here to talk to you today. Speeding is a problem everywhere, and we all see speeders and just shake our fists at them and say, why can't you just slow down? But Meadow Lane is especially a concern for me, and I think it should be for you too, because of the high concentration of children that live on the street. Meadow Lane is roughly about half a mile long. My little stretch of Meadow Lane is 2/10 of a mile long. In that little 2/10 of a mile long, there are 29 children that I have recorded. I've gone house to house and gotten petitions signed. I have a copy. I feel like this is court, like I'm not allowed to approach you or anything like that. There's a copy of the petition that I've got signed. I've got a copy for everyone there. Everyone who has had either an issue with the speeding, felt threatened, a close call or something like that, or has a child that lives on the street, signed the petition, and that's what I'm bringing in front of you now. We just had someone move in on the street that, like last week, that also has a child that brings the total count of children on the street to 30. Now, as some of you know, some of you may not know, Meadow Lane runs directly behind Morningside Elementary. It runs perpendicular to Morningside Drive. I see Morningside Elementary's playground from my backyard. That is significant because our street is a thoroughfare for all the walkers. We have plenty of children, 30 children that live in that 2/10 of a mile stretch, and the children that live on Poplar, which is perpendicular to Meadow Lane. Now, I have not sat out on the porch of my house to count how many children walk that on a school day. We know it's at least 30, but I would venture to guess it's probably twice that because the traffic it's just crazy. There's lots of kids. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, there's another problem exacerbating the issue. Yes, we have people coming through the road speeding, but that's what sidewalks are for, right? Well, the sidewalks are in such a dilapidated state that the children that are walking on the road are choosing to walk on the road as opposed to the sidewalks. My son Liam, do you remember Raymond? When that time that he fell on the sidewalk and he bloodied his knee? This is my son Liam, by the way. They're just crumbled. I didn't bring you any pictures of them, but there are stretches that are they're more crumbled than they are sidewalks. So that plays into the fact that the children are going to use the street. I've had several close calls myself where my children have almost been hit. I've got another small child. All the yards are small, so kids tend to fan out into the street. I'm here today to ask you to consider using some earmarked funds. I understand that they were earmarked anyway for speed islands. And I'm asking you today to consider putting at least 2 speed islands on at least the little 2/10 stretch of Meadow Lane where I live. I have recommendations on where to put them. I was told I will be contacted and asked my opinion on the situation by someone that works for the city and is in charge of building the speed islands. I was never contacted. But I remain here to speak to whoever would like to hear my thoughts on the issues. As you can see from the petition, my little 0.2 of a mile stretch, and that's only, even though Meadow Lane's half a mile long and it has other houses, this is just my little stretch that you have in front of you. The signatures from the people that live along Meadow Lane. That's what I have today. Do you have any questions for me?
Craig, I can second that. You've met my mother and sister and niece, and they live pretty close to you across the street. And I can second that. The sidewalks are in terrible shape. I've seen people speeding up and down that road 40, 45 miles per hour. It has gotten dangerous. There are a lot of kids there, and I know my sister and mother are concerned. And we've talked about, Ed, we've talked about putting those speed bumps in throughout, and I think the Planning and Zoning Commission talked about utilizing those throughout the community. And I think Meadow Lane would be a great place to try those out. I would second you on that. Yeah.
Greg, just from casual observation, do you have any idea whether most of them are repeat offenders? I mean, is it the same?
There are some cars in particular that we notice more than others.
Yeah.
There's a green neon that really likes the street, and a few Escalades and various things, but it doesn't seem to matter. I can't keep track of all of them that come through, but yeah, there's some favorites that we love to hate. Yeah.
Don't forget the maroon car.
Yes, the maroon car.
How many of those are your neighbors that live on Meadow?
I don't understand.
Speed through.
How many of them are my neighbors?
Yeah.
Well, this 0.2 of a mile is so short.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going 40 miles an hour in a 25, you would really whip into your driveway and go into your yard and fishtail. So none of them are my neighbors.
That's one of the things that we find in subdivisions when we got people speeding through. A lot of them live in the subdivision.
No, I would see a complete logic in that. Were our subdivision bigger, but it's a cut through. It's just our area. It's much easier instead of traveling on. Excuse me, what's that road behind it? Not Mulberry. What is the street? Poplar. It's much easier than driving on Poplar and then cutting through, just to take our little side street through, and it's being abused. I've never felt motivated enough by a topic to actually get the gumption up and do something like this. It's been wearing on me for such a long time now, and so this is, for me and my neighbors, we're very irritated, and we've had enough close calls, and now that it's been presented to you, we're asking, let's not have any more close calls, and God forbid something actually happen and someone make contact. So I'm asking for your help on that.
Let me ask you a quick question. You've got about 21 names here, and in 0.2 of a mile, how many families would this represent? Would this be half of them, or is
in this 0.2 of a mile? It's all but 3 houses. One of them.
All but 3 houses have signed on to this.
Correct.
And all of them have signed on, knowing that you're going to ask for some speed reduction.
Well, I was very specific. The bumps, correct.
Or the platforms. I think what we're talking about actually are the speed reduction platforms.
Yeah, the things that raise up and go for a while and can knock your oil pan out if you're doing 45.
You think we would need 2, one on each end?
I think 2 because, and I was just thinking 1 at first, but as I started to tell people about it, the people, I live directly in the middle, and the people that I see speeding are coming up around a hill and around a curve, which vision is reduced, and my house is right in front of that. And so if my kids were in the road, I'm like, oh my gosh. So a little bit before the curve, but towards the end of the street, my other neighbors are complaining, you have no idea, after that stop sign, it's like a drag race. And the last person, Tom Bowles, on here to sign, says, I really wish that you guys would consider putting one just a little bit down from my house as well. So that's why I said 2.
Craig, 3 of those homes, I think, are empty, correct?
No, they're all full now. The 3 that wouldn't signed on, I came to his house twice, and he eventually put a sign out that said no solicitors because he thought I was selling something. The other person is in the hospital, and the other person that didn't sign on is just brand new, and I can't seem to catch them during daylight hours.
Ed, do you know if we have any kind of a short list of locations that if we thought had potential to test those platforms?
Okay. Chief Halsey or Don, any problems as far as emergency vehicles with those traffic calming devices, or as far as snow plows and things like that? Would that create any problems for you guys?
though, please understand, we respond with due regard to public safety. They're gonna slow us down, and that's, because we have, our fire trucks have come to a complete stop to go over the time, and then getting back up. So it's going to reduce our response time. In fact, we would probably avoid the area as much as possible.
What about snow plows and so forth? So that would be an issue with those too? I thought it would be.
Chief, you wouldn't use Meadow Lane as a cut through though. If you had to respond, it'd be because there's a home on the road there that you have to respond to, correct?
Yes, but again, if we're given a Meadow Lane address, if we turn on Poplar, we're gonna hit them both if it's on that side.
Right.
And it's gonna slow us down.
Gregory, you have the opinion that that's the only solution to the problem? I mean, the island?
Well, when I look back and consider what the city has done in the past to help alleviate or help to warn people, it's been ineffective. So possibly there are other solutions, maybe cheaper solutions out there, but the ones that I know of that have been effective, I'm from Bowling Green, I'm a Bowling Green native, and one of my pastimes as a child was cruising the Bowling Green Mall parking lot, and we would just zip around and meet people on the other side. We do a little irresponsible things that 16-year-olds do. All that stopped when the speed islands went in. And now when you go around the mall in Bowling Green, you don't think getting over 20, 25. So to me, it's my personal experience that it's been very effective. You may have other options, but I really like the speed
Typically,
islands.
I guess what we have done in the past, and I'm not sure in all situations, but slow children at play or something like that, you don't think something like that is going to be effective, obviously.
Here's my concern with the slow children at play. One side of Meadow Lane is it's a low visibility trap. You're coming up a grade and you're coming around a turn. Maybe putting a slow children at play sign like right when you come onto that street, possibly, but I can already tell you, thinking of the corner that that's on, as I look at it, it looks like clutter. I see there's already a sign there, there's a 25-mile-per-hour sign there, and there's these big trees and dense overgrowth on the right-hand side. I would see it as clutter. Another end of the street, maybe not. But where I want the speed island, and my neighbors want the speed island, the main one that we want is right around that curve. Maybe at the other end of the street where some of my neighbors are arguing, hey, we need something down on our side of the street. Maybe a sign would suffice there.
Let me comment about the children at play signs. They are not authorized by the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is the guideline that we're supposed to use for traffic signs. Now, there are some signs in neighborhoods. Those have been provided at cost of the neighbors. To provide those signs, they put them up
We're
on their
council
property.
members.
Yeah, we're council.
Bought one of those, huh?
I thought we had them. I told them we could get
Oh,
one.
I did too.
But I bought
You don't
one.
want them to think that they can play in the street.
You know, the only problem is we get a lot of people that come to us and talk about speeding within
Yeah.
subdivisions and everything, and we could almost put those up on every street.
That's exactly.
But, you know, the chief has always talked to us about the problems they have, and then, like I said, the snow plows and so forth. Chief Schiller, I mean, what do you have any recommendations of what maybe we could do?
Rumble strips.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something really what they're being looked at. Good thought, but maybe we don't want tenants not using engineering to change the environment to manipulate the way people negotiate their way through it, keep them safer or change the behavior. So I mean, those types of things work. Now, there's a number of different ways to apply traffic calming devices, and speed tables drive is one of them. There's probably hundreds. So that particular device may not be suited for that, maybe others. Some other things you can do to manipulate the environment that doesn't include putting any kind of a bump or anything. You just change the configuration of the roadway slightly enough where it causes people, force people. So
Curve in or something.
there's a lot of things that can be done.
Rumble strips.
The conversation about this type of way to address speeding issue is a good one. And I would say that maybe one of these situations where we want to take a look at that environment out there, and if the speed may be able to look at some other options, maybe viable to me.
Central to my argument.
Greg, did you say or Chief, that we've had a traffic or radar thing set up there?
Correct. Over the past 8 years, I've noticed a couple times, and a couple times that they parked a car out there.
On Meadow Lane?
Correct.
Yeah.
Central to my argument today is the fact that this is a 2/10 of a mile stretch. I clocked it. I clocked it in my car. I challenge you. I will challenge you now to go into the community and find a higher concentration of houses and children in 2/10 of a mile stretch. I'll pay you $20, each of you. I'll buy you dinner. 2/10 of a mile stretch. These are small boxed houses, and they're all the same. As you can see on here, the amount of children, it's mind-boggling to see these children go to school every morning. There's so many kids. When things calm down on a Sunday and as the light is fading and it gets cooler out, they take to the street. Central to my argument is just the fact that this is such a densely populated area of high-risk people. It used to be, and Mr. Bennett can attest to this, it used to be that it was almost all retired people, senior citizens. It's flipped. I've been there 8 years. My neighbors have, the demographic has completely changed, and they're mostly young children. So I am asking you, based on the fact that these children are high-risk demographic, we've got speeding problems everywhere, and maybe you could make a good case for putting them somewhere else. But based on the children and the fact that when school is in session, everyone is using this to walk to school. I've walked my son to school every day for the past 8 years to Morningside Elementary. So I know firsthand the traffic. Based on these things, this is why I am saying a physical deterrent is best. Because when you look at the yards, my front yard is from here to here. There's not a lot of room to negotiate much else. I argue that a child at play, which you said you can't even do anyway. Is that what you're saying?
We aren't really authorized to use them as far as a public sign.
They're clutter because in 2/10 of a mile, think about your reaction time. In a big, long neighborhood, some of the nice ones that I've been in, you can see a child at play sign from long off and make decisions about, are you going to pay attention or are you not? You don't have that same time of reaction time in this small 2/10 of a stretch. So that's based on these things today is why I'm urging you to spend a little bit of money to, I mean, we're not talking about raising property values here. These are small houses. This is not for selfishness that I'm arguing this to you today. Some of my neighbors had various issues of why they couldn't come today, but they would tell you the same things that I'm telling you. And they reiterated to me various close calls that they've had. People... There's that little tradition we have of running to the corner and yelling at the people as they pass, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't work anymore. So that's why I'm here to you today.
Excuse me. Did you say the curve in the street is a point of concern, or does it just so happen that it seems to be creating a problem, or just where problems seem to be focused?
It adds to the visibility. Now, I don't know, to the visibility issue, I don't know if it's fun to take this curve. I mean, I guess it could be a little fun to accelerate and take this curve a little bit faster than would be usual because you kind of sail up over it just a little bit. That could be fun, and maybe it beckons to speed demons. I don't know. But I just don't know. Right.
Yeah, it doesn't work there. I've seen it. I've sit down on the front porch with Mom and my sister, and I've seen it, and I have the same concern you do. And you know, what's it going to take? A child to be killed or hit for us to act on this? I know Chief Schiller and Charlie would like to look at it, and I think we should. But I think something should be done on the road. I agree with you.
Both chiefs. And Ed, would rumble strips, are those like, on the side of the highway, would that be an alternative to the speed?
I seem to use that in conjunction with not manipulating the roadway in such a way that I've seen do things such as this. Put like a small island on the roadway, white on the island, and put out a strip of roadway, bricks in there, so when the front tires hit the brick, you feel a sensation, which causes you to back off a little bit. Next thing you do, then you negotiate that island on. Those are some things. As I said before, there's there's a myriad of different devices that can be constructed. A lot of this has to do with the roadway as it is, what's going to be effective and quality and both really slowing traffic and cost effective as well. So those are kind of things that Chief wants to take a look at and make some suggestions and rates what might be best suited for that area.
I'm not opposed to traffic calming devices. In fact, I for them. I don't see any kids get no way them out. But just these particular devices.
Well, we got the chains on the trucks too. So.
Well, and Greg, don't look at this as an argument because it's, I know you're here to argue your point, but there's no argument. We just need to decide what's the best type of calming device to try, and then if it doesn't work, then you go to the next one, and then if that doesn't work, you go to the next one. But I think the main thing is you probably just want to see some movement in the right direction of doing something out there. I know in my neighborhood we use islands, and they work extremely well because it takes a wide street and makes it a narrow street, and you got to kind of pay attention or you'll run off the road. And but you might not have that much. You might not have that kind of distance in between your sidewalks and with your easements and stuff. So I think it's just something we probably have to take a look at, and maybe we can try. But we've talked about this with planning, and we've talked about it with the city as well. I mean, council meetings as well. There's probably a lot of areas in town that we'd like to experiment with using some different devices at different places and then see what works best.
From a legal standpoint, I think it's a good move on your guys' part now that everyone on the street is aware that I've come to you guys appealing for something to slow everybody down. I mean, when I talk about close calls, I'm talking about a matter of feet close calls where people stop just in time. So from a legal standpoint, I think it would be smart. I'm not threatening to sue. I'm just saying smart on your guys' behalf to protect everyone and do something significant.
Mayor, I'd like for the chief and Ed, Don, Charlie, to look at it and come back with a recommendation. You certainly brought it to our attention.
Sure. Okay, great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Frank. Now, Mr. Ron Thomas, you're going to talk about cable?
Okay.
Cable.
And I apologize. I know we've had a long, unusually long meeting and discussions, and I had hoped that I could get through this in less than an hour, but I can't see any way, Mayor. So bear with me.
Okay, moving right along.
Is there anything else you just got tabled, Thomas.
Very quickly.
What's this have to do with the lake?
You all have in your packet, I think, and we're not going to act on it today, an extension agreement with Comcast. It's kind of ironic that Mike Bell is in here. 11 years ago, there was a telecommunications committee. Mike Bell was on that at one time. But anyway, we spent about a year, Hardin County, E-Town, and LaRue County, coming up with a Comcast franchise agreement, which all three entities accepted. Many things have changed since then, and we had a 10-year franchise that expires in August. The mayor, Charlie, myself, Dee Dee, Mary have met with Comcast representatives. They have indicated to us that the county was going to simply renew for a 5-year period, which they did, I think, at their last meeting. LaRue County has indicated to me they're going to do the same thing, and it's our recommendation. I think it's very simple. There's not anything to negotiate, quite honestly, with Comcast. And I think the simplest thing, this is just to bring it to your attention, this would be the agreement I assume that we would act on, Charlie, at the next regular meeting. But it is a renewal, an extension of in essence, the 20-page document that we've got on file for a 5-year period, not a 10-year period.
Would there be a chance that part of that we could get some local numbers to be able to contact Comcast when there is a problem that we can't get resolved through the 1-800 number?
I don't think, Marty.
Local contacts that
no, they're not going to, and we tried that before. They're not going to, you know, they're still going to give that. I hate to say this publicly, but the way we operate now, if a complaint comes to City Hall, I think that's the way, then Mary refers that to me, and I do call Comcast. When I get the call, I do have 2 numbers directly to them. I don't necessarily think, but answer your question, Marty, no, they're not going to give us a 24-hour number here locally. And in fact, I think I'm correct, Charlie and the mayor, that, and this has nothing to do with, but your bill shortly will change from Comcast to Midwest, I think. you know, they bought Time Warner, and Comcast now is putting small. We're going to become Midwest, which is Comcast. I see no way of alleviating the fact that you're still going to call either Arkansas or Nashville or.
As far as they're concerned, they have a.
Yeah, right. They say
They say they have.
it's not.
They have the information right there when you call, and they can tell you which system
Is down.
that you're on.
That's right.
When the city used an easement, I gave an easement for them to run a gas line back there to that tower, and they cut my cable. We couldn't find anybody from Comcast to come out there and fix it.
No,
did you?
You had to call Ron.
He forgot to call you. That's what was.
Well,
but it was. I mean, that's one of the situations you run into. You can't.
You know, like Charlie said, and things have changed so drastically. They indicated to us that if my Comcast goes out, they can see on their thing. It's so they know it before I do.
Yeah.
They know it. So that helps their technology. I mean, it doesn't satisfy. You know, I found out very quickly that two things in most communities that people get upset about is trash pickup, brush pickup, and cable TV.
Yep.
Other than that, you know, the water is not a big issue most of the time, but that's as good as we can get. So the only thing I've got to report is, you know, we're going to act on the extension for 5 years. And
any problems, we need to call you. Is that what?
Marty, don't put that in the paper. But
his numbers?
There's your local numbers right there.
There you go.
I've got a number for you. But they're going to know it before I do. When I call them, they say, "You dummy, we know it, Thomas." So, but that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, Charlie, we'll talk about Pine Valley Drive.
Speaking of traffic issues and pedestrian safety, I think you all have talked a couple of occasions about Pine Valley Drive. We've had some calls and concerns, especially about the low shoulders and the lack of sidewalks along Pine Valley Drive. And we were notified by Representative Jimmy Lee that we had the chance to get some money through some state funds to make improvements to Pine Valley Drive, and we've been notified officially with a proposed agreement that, based on an estimate that the engineering department did, that we can get assistance for improvements to drainage and shoulders and for some sidewalks along Pine Valley Drive, and that's in an amount of $230,000. So it's
great.
Some significant assistance. Now that does not include whatever paving will be required. The city will still be responsible for whatever cost that we have beyond that 230. So that's really good news that we can get that.
And, well, Chief Schiller and I went out to talk to the residents of Pine Valley, it was almost a year ago, maybe? And that was their number one concern was not having a sidewalk and how dangerous and how many kids are walking in the street, and there's ditches on both sides. And so when Jimmy said, "Hey, I might be able to help you," this was great.
It is.
Really great.
Would we have sidewalks on both sides?
Initially, sidewalks on one side, depends on how much money you all want to come up with over and above what we.
Well, is it one side city, one side county?
Well, but we have enough easement right away to put it on the county side.
To put it on that side as well, which is the neighborhood side, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where the most walkers are.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it'd be.
It's a good deal.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, you want to talk about sewers?
Sewer line easement for Water District 2 wastewater line. As you know, District 2 will be installing sewer lines in the Glendale area, and specifically also for the Glendale industrial site. That work is ongoing with them, and the sewer line that would actually come from that area, they're asking for an easement to go across the city's wastewater treatment plant site. It's about, we've got over 100 acres there that the city has control of, and you've got a map there showing how it comes along the railroad and Gaither Station Road on the wastewater plant property. So this would be an easement giving them the right to install that sewer line, which the sewer line will bring wastewater to the city's wastewater plant to be treated. And so that's the total project, and the end to the effort there is to get the wastewater from that area, which they will be providing the collection system and bringing it to the wastewater plant, our wastewater plant for treatment.
What do we normally get for those easements?
Just for the record, I didn't ask that, Mike. Okay.
Something a little less than $8 million.
We'll take half.
Well, you know, Charlie, I don't mind taking their crap. I just don't want to take their water. Sorry, guys.
Anyway, we have a document to approve. We'll bring it to you for formal approval.
Okay, and to continue on with the Charlie Bryant Show, Orchard Road in North Miles.
I gave you all some information about a request that I had received to look at the channelization of traffic at Orchard Road and North Miles intersection, which the request was to change, as it says, that lane channelization to create an exclusive right turn lane off of Orchard Road onto North Miles Street. Now, right now, the way that it is channelized, and this done by the state, because obviously the state controls that intersection with the signal there. It's the intersection with the state maintained highway, so they control the intersection. So we went to them first to ask them their opinion. They did some traffic counts, took a look at it, and said that it was a reasonable consideration that it might actually help traffic flow there to allow an exclusive right turn, because that's where most of the traffic seems to be headed, either turn right or go straight. So that's just an opinion that they have given. The state is not suggesting it, they're not requesting it, they're just saying, you asked for this, our opinion, that's their opinion, that it could be an improvement. So if the city wants to consider it, they would make the changes to do that if they were requested to do so by the city.
Who brought this up? Who requested this?
Bob Hicks, the individual that brought it today there. Don Hill will tell you he uses the intersection every morning, and it does seem
It's
to
kind of, it's used that way already.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably is a better alternative.
It's interesting, though, that he states 95% of the people either turned right or went straight from that side, so therefore we're just going to let them go right. That's the way he changed it. If you read that and then look what he suggested.
The right lane would be a right turn.
Only.
I know, but he's stating
Left
here that
lane would be
95% either went straight or turned right, so we're not going to let, and I don't know what percent of that was that did.
Whatever, we're not going to let that percent.
Yeah. Go straight anymore.
Oh.
A little confused. That's engineer talk, though, probably.
But I think the reason why I think the reason why he probably did that is that left lane. Then what he's saying is 95% of the traffic in the left lane will simply cross the street, and only 5% will take the option to turn left.
Yeah.
So, because I had to read that twice as well, just to kind of.
That's what
That's what he's trying to say.
Okay.
Sorry, well,
But I will tell you this, if we'd have read your verbiage in your memo, we would have never figured it out. Because I read it over and over and over, and I couldn't figure it out. I had to look at the picture.
I'm trying to put it in as few words as possible. That's why I included the rest of it. So I would say at this point also, if you want to take some time, look at it, talk about it some more, that's fine. Just wanted to get it to you because I had started this effort with the state a couple of months ago, I think.
How important with school getting ready to start is that to go ahead and get that set out there?
Probably a good idea.
I would say.
I'd say, yeah. Just
I don't.
Establishing the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see.
So they can do that in a week?
They need to get it scheduled, but before you get too far in.
Yeah.
Mayor, before we finish, I'd like to bring up an issue I talked with Charlie the other day. We've got the new stores, the Hobby Lobby and is it Sports Authority going across from?
Sports Academy.
Sports Academy, okay, excuse me. Academy Sports, okay. We're going across there from Sam's and Home Depot, and we've got crossing ways there, and it goes up beside those two stores and stops. I'm seeing that, with those two new stores going in across the street, that it would make sense that we go ahead and take crossing ways and connect that into the mall. I know probably the mall owners are hesitant towards that, but I think in the grand scheme of the City of E-Town's plans to try to make everything connect, I would like to see us look into going ahead and running crossing ways up to the mall there. I think it just makes sense. I know the mall owners and some of the national stores like Sears might be worried that, people will leave their stores and go to Home Depot or Sam's. That really doesn't make much sense. I think it benefits both the mall area and the new stores coming up and Sam's and Home Depot. So I propose that we look at going ahead and running crossing ways up to the mall area.
Does that line up in?
I don't.
Bill, it's already, when we approved the Home Depot development, that right of way is already dedicated to the mall's property. I mean, that it is there for them to make the connection. And yes, we've always been told by the owners and managers of the mall, they have some tenants who object to that connection. That's why they've never made the connection. And the major objector, we were always told, was Sears, because they have similar products to the Home Depot, and they didn't want to make the connection. But as far as the public right-of-way, I mean, it is dedicated to their property line. So all they'd have to do is make a connection from their parking lot to it. I mean, publicly, it's there for them to make a connection, right, if they choose.
But it isn't that we can't. It's not our property.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a great idea.
Well, I guess the other question is, what can we do to try to influence that connection? I take it legally we really can't do it.
Do you remember years ago when we all wrote letters to Lowe's on behalf of Morgan's Decorating?
Yeah. Yes.
To get them to open that up?
That didn't do well. That didn't do well.
It would just save a lot of traffic having to get back on Ring Road and getting on Veterans or going on the Dixie from those new stores opening up. And
that's why we had them do that connection. I mean, if that property owner chooses not to. Now, if they came back to us with any kind of plan or changes, then we could look at it and say, we want you to make the connection at this time. But I mean, they have no construction activity going on to change parking lots and stuff. We don't really have any jurisdiction to do that.
Right. Is the entrance to the two new stores, is that going to be part of crossing ways? You're going to share that same intersection?
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to line up.
Okay. Right.
And Marty, you had something you wanted to announce tonight?
Oh, no, I was just going to, this is the last meeting for Marty with us?
No.
One more.
One more. Well,
Okay.
then, hold on till next week.
We'll wait.
We'll take that
one more
cake
week.
back and try to get it back next week.
It's in the
Thomas and I'll
refrigerator.
split the cake.
Anything else?
Marty said he had a Rolex watch, so.
Oh.
Darn.
Take
Take it back.
Yeah.
Take it back too.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
You are all winners.
Sorry.
You did? Okay. Oh, okay.
Good to see you, sir. We did. That was a lot.